Okay, photosynthesis. When we talk about the chemical equation of photosynthesis, chemical meaning compounds and molecules mixed together to create some kind of reaction and a product. So chemical reactions always have a reactant. So we'll see the reactant over here. Then it will always have a product, which is over here, and it will always have a yield. If, for example, I only have a reactant, but I don't have a yield, then I never go to completion to a product. So, say for example, my cake that I've mentioned before, I have a cake that I have all the ingredients, I'm making my cake, and I never put it in the oven. Would I ever get the cake out that I can eat? No. So, without the yield, some kind of energy to create the reaction to take place, the cake would never be made. So I'd put my ingredients and my reactants inside a pan, mix it up, put it in the oven, which is my yield, the energy to make the reaction go forward. Then my product would be my yummy cake. Now, in the case of photosynthesis reactants, what has to take place in the plant before it can be exposed to the sun is one, it has to take in carbon dioxide, which it does through a small opening called a stoma, and that stoma opens up to allow CO2 in. The CO2 is from the environment. Then the water comes up through the roots into the leaves, which then those are the two things that have to be present in order for the reaction to move forward. Now, without the sun, captured inside the chloroplasts, which there's chlorophyll. When we look at the chloroplast, it's like a little pod. And that little pod has inside it these little layers, granula. And what happens inside here is there's also a gel, and it's called chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is a gel that captures the energy from the sun in order for the plant to use it to convert it into energy it can use. Since the plants don't eat like we do, consume food, they have to make their own food. So again, in our reactants, we have to have carbon dioxide from the air, that it comes up through the stoma, the water that comes up through the roots, and those two things together, in addition to the sun, once it has the sun and these two things here, the reaction can move forward. And what comes from that reaction is sugar, C6H12O6, and oxygen. Along with that is ATP. ATP is the energy the plant can use. The sugar is also used. And then there is a remainder of oxygen that's left behind inside the plant to do respiration. However, most of it is released to the atmosphere for humans to consume, or animals to consume, anything that breathes oxygen. Now, let's go back and look again, because there's one other thing. The 6 in front of the CO2, the 6 in front of the H2O are called coefficients. And this has to do with the balancing from this side of the equation to this side of the equation. In order for us to have 6 carbon dioxide atoms over here, we have to have 6 carbons over here. We have to have 12 oxygen, because it's 6 times 2, 12 oxygen over here. We have to have 6 times 1 hydrogen, or 6 times 2, 12 hydrogen over here, and we have to have 6 oxygen over here. Now, you knowing how to do that doesn't matter at this point, but I want you to realize that the reason why there are coefficients is because it's balancing of the chemical equation. I'll show you how to do that here in a second if you want to know that, but right now let's focus on the chemical equation. Again, the chemical equation is carbon dioxide is taken up through the air, and the chemical formula for carbon dioxide is CO2. We know we need 6 molecules of CO2. We know we need water, which is H2O. For the equation for photosynthesis, we need 6 H2O, which is going to go up through the stems and the leaves and the flowers. And then we know we have to have the CO2 taken up through these stomas. So I'll draw an arrow over there to our stomas. Then we have sugar that comes out. The sugar's left inside of the plant for the plant to use. That sugar is called glucose. We only get one of those molecules through that. One of those compounds right here, this is the only one we get for sugar. Then oxygen is released. And again, oxygen is H2O, so we're going to show it being released to the atmosphere for human beings to use. Remember, this chloroplast is inside here. There's hundreds of them all over the leaves. There's not just one. That's why the plant is green. Anywhere you see green plant, you know it has chloroplasts in there somewhere. Okay, so now let's see if we can move over our picture a bit. Now,